From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I am Ahmed Ramadan. Democrats are sharply criticizing President Donald Trump's new national security strategy. This and more on today's show. Stay tuned. New disclosures are raising serious doubts about the Trump administration's lethal campaign targeting non-U.S. boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. U.S. strikes have killed at least 87 people on vessels who are mostly from Latin American countries and are accused by the U.S. government of moving drugs. Lawmakers were told last week that the boat hit in a September 2nd double-tap strike was not heading towards the United States. Admiral Frank Bradley said it was linking up with a larger vessel bound for Suriname. He also confirmed that a second strike was launched to kill 2 survivors, a move legal experts say may amount to a war crime. Reports add that all 11 men on board had been placed on an internal U.S. kill list. Despite these revelations, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is defending the policy. He claims that bombing suspected drug boats is necessary to stop narcotics linked to terrorist networks from ever reaching American shores. However, a Notre Dame law professor told the BBC that no credible facts or legal principles have come to light to justify these attacks, and the administration has failed to put forward specific evidence to back its claims. Democrats are sharply criticizing President Donald Trump's new national security strategy. They say it puts his business interests ahead of America's safety and weakens U.S. influence. Senator Mark Kelly warns the plan favors Trump's friends and dealings with Russia and China. He also says it would undermine U.S. power worldwide. The 33-page strategy pushes for a bigger U.S. military footprint in the Americas, tighter borders, and a harsh assessment of Europe. Former Norwegian foreign minister and peace mediator Erik Solheim also says it marks the arrival of a multipolar world. He says the strategy seeks to dominate the Americas, scorn Europe, respect China, ignore India, and dismiss Africa. Democrats are claiming the continent faces civilizational erasure. Senator Chris Van Hollen says the document abandons human rights and embraces authoritarian leaders. Community members gathered outside Newark, New Jersey's Delaney Hall detention facility on Sunday. Families arrived to visit relatives held by U.S. immigration authorities. Supporters stood with them in a show of solidarity. Residents offered help, comfort, and information to those affected by the detentions. Volunteers said they want families to know they are not alone. The crowd formed a visible reminder of growing community concern over immigration and customs enforcement, or ICE, practices. The National Park Service is drawing sharp criticism for removing free parks entry on holidays celebrating Black Americans while including them for President Donald Trump's birthday. It recently released its free entry days for 2026, marking the change. Free entry on Juneteenth and the National Day honoring civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. has been removed. Juneteenth marks the end of slavery in the United States. Advocates say cutting these days hurts Black communities. They add that it restricts access for low-income families who rely on fee-free days to visit parks. Observers say the changes politicize national parks. Trump's face will appear on new annual park passes. Fees for foreign visitors will also rise, hitting immigrants, international students, and asylum seekers the hardest. Civil rights groups say the move sends an exclusionary message. They warn America's national parks risk becoming less welcoming for many people. The Supreme Court will be hearing a major case on birthright citizenship to decide whether children born on American soil automatically become citizens. Birthright citizenship has been a United States law for more than a century, based on an 1898 Supreme Court ruling. The challenge came in January after President Donald Trump issued an order on his first day back in office. It said children born in the United States would not get citizenship if their mothers were undocumented or staying in the country only briefly. Trump's order also says children will not get citizenship if their fathers were neither citizens nor permanent residents. The American Civil Liberties Union says the Constitution is clear and presidents cannot change the 14th Amendment. Several states and rights groups immediately challenged Trump's order, with judges repeatedly blocking it over the past year. As well, immigrant rights groups later filed a nationwide class action case in response. American bakery chain Cinnabon has fired one of its workers in Wisconsin after a video that went viral showed her shouting racist and Islamophobic slurs at a Somali couple. The incident happened when they were buying a pastry and the woman asked for extra caramel. In response, the employee mocked her hijab and used the N-word, declaring that she was racist and threatening to throw water on the couple. The video, which was filmed by the woman who was attacked, shows more insults as the two walked away. Cinnabon says that the employee was immediately fired and that her behavior did not reflect the company. The incident comes in the wake of recent remarks by President Donald Trump attacking Somali Americans and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar in specific last week. Trump called the community garbage, claiming they have destroyed America. Israeli police stormed the UN Refugee Agency office or UNRWA compound. Details coming up next. Israel continues to violate its ceasefire with Hamas, with at least 5 more Palestinian deaths shot by Israeli forces in the last 24 hours. 2 more bodies were recovered from the rubble. Since the ceasefire was announced on October 10, Israeli soldiers have killed 376 Palestinians and wounded 981. Another 626 bodies have been retrieved from destroyed areas. Israeli police stormed the UN Refugee Agency office or UNRWA compound on Monday. UNRWA chief Philippe Lazzarini said officers entered with trucks and forklifts, seized furniture, IT equipment, and other assets. They also replaced the UN flag with an Israeli one. He called the raid a violation of UN immunity. Israel claims it was enforcing a municipal debt order. UNRWA officials reject that, saying the UN cannot be taxed under international or Israeli law. Israeli forces also demolished 2 homes and an agricultural shed in Budros near Ramallah, displacing 14 people. Heavy gunfire was reported near the Morag axis, north of Rafah. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed at least 70,365 Palestinians since October 2023, the majority of them women and children. Palestinian civil defense crews in Gaza City spent the day recovering bodies from the courtyard of Al Ahli Baptist Hospital, where victims were killed in recent Israeli attacks. Their remains had been kept there because burial grounds were too dangerous to reach. Teams moved the bodies to nearby cemeteries once a safe route opened. Local officials say this has become common as Israeli strikes continue across the enclave. Israel still controls the southern and eastern corridors of Gaza, along with much of the north, which is far more than half of the territory. Israel has violated the ceasefire more than 590 times and killed at least 376 Palestinians since it was announced October 10. Israel has released 5 Palestinians held for months in Gaza under a truce and prisoner exchange deal with Hamas. Red Cross vehicles brought the men to Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah for medical checks. The transfer was carried out under international supervision. Families waited outside and embraced the men as they stepped out of the vehicles. One of the released Palestinians described the difficult conditions during detention. The ceasefire, which was brokered by Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar with US backing, has been marred by repeated Israeli violations since it came into effect October 10. Israel claims Phase 2 will start only after it receives the remains of all its prisoners. Hamas says it has already handed over all survivors and all recovered remains. Sudan's army says it has intercepted a drone attack by the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, in Ad-Damazin, the capital of Blue Nile State. Authorities say the drones targeted civilian facilities, including the city's main power station. The state government condemned the attack and called the RSF a terrorist militia. Officials say the strike showed disregard for civilian lives and humanitarian needs. The power station is critical, providing water and powering hospitals, dialysis units, and neonatal care. Human rights monitoring group Emergency Lawyers reported an earlier RSF strike caused a blackout and cut water supplies. Drone attacks on civilian infrastructure have increased in recent weeks as the civil war continues. The conflict has killed thousands and displaced millions across Sudan. India is facing criticism for its treatment of Rohingya refugees, who rights groups say have been increasingly hounded in the country. Since the Hindu nationalist government took power in 2014, Rohingya refugees in India have been pushed towards deportations. Their situation is especially stark in Uttar Pradesh, the country's most populous state, led by Hindu extremist monk chief minister Yogi Adityanath. The latest flashpoint erupted in the city of Lucknow, where Mayor Sushma Kharakwal ordered inspections in slum areas. Defending the operation, she said she is out to trace illegal immigrants, including Rohingya families. Opposition leaders say the campaign is a pretext to intimidate poor Muslim residents and deepen fear in already marginalized communities. Kharakwal, a grassroots worker with the ruling Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, was elevated to mayor in 2023 and has a history of controversial claims. She once alleged that more than 200,000 illegal Bangladeshi nationals live in the city, a figure dismissed by her own officials. Her tenure has also been marked with clashes with municipal commissioners and even BJP corporators, prompting delays in civil work. Observers say she pushes decisions unilaterally. Analysts say the episode has sharpened concerns about India's broader approach to Rohingya refugees who continue to face surveillance, police checks, and threats of deportation. Syria is marking 1 year since the fall of former President Bashar al-Assad, with street celebrations, military parades, and a pledge from its new president to rebuild a broken nation. President Ahmed al-Sharrah said Syria is entering a new phase of reconstruction and promised a future worthy of its present and past. Celebrations filled cities across the country. In the capital, Damascus, helicopters roared overhead as troops marched along the Messi highway. 14 paragliders swept across the sky above Umayyad Square. Crowds waved flags, danced, and chanted in the city of Aleppo's main squares, where residents said they were celebrating a new beginning. Similar parades took place in Daraa, Doma, and Misraba, with the families lining up streets to mark the end of the 6-decade rule of the Ba'ath Party. State media reports that approximately 900,000 Syrians have returned home since Assad fled to Russia last December, ending the 61-year Ba'ath regime. But the path ahead remains steep. A United Nations commission warns of renewed displacement and political polarization. Experts say Syria must rebuild a fractured national identity, restore internal and external security, and counter unrest from remnants of the former regime. The economy is fragile, with job creation and basic services still urgent priorities. Heavy foreign influence also complicates recovery, as regional powers and global rivals continue to shape events on Syrian soil. The Islamic Development Bank Institute, or ISDBI, and the Arab Monetary Fund have launched a major AI roadmap through a 5-day training program in Abu Dhabi. The course brought together 32 professionals from central banks and financial institutions across 22 member countries. Trainers covered core AI concepts including machine learning, neural networks, and big data. Officials showcased how AI can support Islamic banking through better risk analysis, faster financing assessments, and stronger fraud detection, all while staying compliant with principles of Sharia or Islamic law. Participants also examined data quality, bias, and transparency issues. They built virtual companies to test new AI tools and explore real banking scenarios. A key feature was the ISDBI AI Hackathon, which aims to turn Islamic accounting standards into smart digital systems to boost efficiency and transparency. The program closed with delegates drafting an initial AI adoption roadmap for regulators and financial institutions. Certificates were awarded to mark the completion of a milestone initiative for the region. Scientists say a social media skincare trend using the herb rosemary may actually help wounds heal better. New research from the University of Pennsylvania found a natural antioxidant in rosemary called carnosic acid helped wounds in mice heal without scars. The compound triggered a nerve receptor linked to regenerative repair. It also restored skin structures like hair follicles and oil glands. Researchers say rosemary worked better and caused less irritation than other herbs or chemicals that activate the same healing pathway. The idea came from TikTok and Instagram posts promoting rosemary serums. Curious scientists tested the claims and found real evidence behind the hype. They say the effect is local and works only where the cream is applied, adding that rosemary could become a low-cost option for reducing scars in the future. However, experts caution that trials in humans are still needed. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.